The P40 Warhawk was based out of North Africa. The location of the plane resulted in how it was to be painted. Throughout the war, over 13,000 of these planes were built. Most of them were used and given to Russia. One of the many battles these took place in was Pearl Harbor. There is 3 bombs on each wing. However, the P-40 was overly designed, which caused it to be heavy and slow. The Japanese took advantage of this by using their arrow in dogfights. The arrow usually won because of its speed and light weight. The Warhawk was still used after World War II and into the 50s. There's only about 20 left flying in the world. Most of the P-40s were melted down and turned into pop cans. Not many of the Desert Sharks survived because they would crash land into salt water, which would result in rusting of the planes. Fagan is currently in the process of restoring another P-40. They are 2 years into the wing and 6 months in the other.
The Asian Theater. During the 1920s, Japan was able to gain influence in China by an form of unequal treaties. There is no evidence that Japan's actions in China were part of the world domination, but it was questioned due to the aftermath results. Active fighting didn't begin until the 1930s, with Japan furthering its Korean possessions and getting their foot into China. In early 1941, Yamato had initiated a surprise attack on the U.S., the mission being before the U.S. could recover from the surprise blow, Japan would seize all their objects in the Far East. By September 1941, Yamamoto had completed the plans of their secret attack on Malaya, the Philippines, the Netherlands East Indies, so that they were coordinated with the blow of Pearl Harbor, which quickly turned into war. Hours in, the U.S. declared war, and then 4 days later, Germany declared war on the United States.
Kilroy was a graffiti cartoon created by James J. Kilroy. He was a shipyard inspector. He placed Kilroy in the most unlikely places. It was to mark that they knew that he was there. Then the U.S. forces would jokingly mark Kilroy wherever they would land. It symbolized that they were first.
Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th of 1941. Hundreds of planes struck Hawaii on the island of Oahu. The surprise attack killed 2,403 and wounded over 1,000. This was the event that brought the United States into World War II.
The fight lasted about 2 hours, which began a little before 8 a.m. There was a lot of damage in a short time period. The attack itself was a surprise, but Japan and the U.S. had been butting heads on the verge of war for decades. The U.S. was on edge over Japan's consistent urge to get a foothold in China.